Happy St. Patty's Day, boys. I see Trey's the one who brought the green, so he's not going to get pinched today. Yeah. So, welcome back to the Dynamite Sports Podcast. I'm Dad with my three boys, Tyler, Noah, and Trey. And so we're here to bring you up to speed on what we have been observing this week in the world of sports. The big topics on everybody's mind this week are NFL free agency, which continues to astound and befuddle us, and also March Madness, which is in full swing. So we are recording this in advance of the selection shows, so we're just speculating about some of the selections. But we'll get to that second. We're going to start off with free agency, though, and we actually started posting some videos of our podcasts, and we got a little traction this week with Trey's hot take on Christian Wilkins. Way to go, Trey!
I may have been caught up a little bit in the moment. I had spoken of a lot of very unnecessary pickups in free agency. So I may have misspoken on that one. And well, that still doesn't give a single person a right to say those things and call me young and say that I am inexperienced because I play Madden, even though I could say the same because you watched Mel Blunt growing up. Thank you very much, Grandpa.
Trey. All right. Well, with that being said, Trey's got some more hot takes today, so we're going to see what the old men like me have to say about it. So, Trey, you want to talk about the most necessary and unnecessary pickups? Is that what you want to do?
Yeah, because like the movie with Matthew McConaughey and Ben Affleck, I am dazed and I am confused.
All right. So we're going to start with the 5 most necessary. Noah, get ready with the imaging. All right. So Trey, go ahead and introduce your topics.
So I have picked the 5 most necessary free agency pickups and the 5 least necessary free agency pickups of this year. So number 5 of the most necessary is Josh Jacobs. Number 4 is Joe Mixon. Number 3 is Jordan Whitehead. Number 2 is Russell Wilson. And number 1 is
Wow. All right. We got a little extra fanfare there. All right.
Wow.
So okay, he went through those quickly, but let's get some feedback from his brothers on this list.
I really agree with that Jordan Whitehead, especially because the Bucs are missing that safety. And he was really good with the Bucs a while ago. So again, we don't just play Madden. I watched him with the Bucs a couple years ago. He was really good and he was a dominant force.
Yeah, I may have been biased on that one, definitely. But it's very necessary. We need a defensive back, and we got to go one.
Jordan Whitehead's a fan favorite in Tampa. I will always remember that game against the Packers, the NFC Championship game where he tore his labrum and then still played in the Super Bowl. Absolute
in the playoffs, yeah, the NFC Championship.
Dog.
Right?
Yeah,
an absolute dog.
He brings that fierceness, that toughness to the defensive backfield that the Bucs I feel like were lacking last year. So, as a homer pick, I can definitely get with the Jordan Whitehead pick. It was one that we were really excited about here.
So go on.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
So Josh Jacobs and Joe Mixon, they were kind of the same. I put Joe Mixon over Josh Jacobs, but I feel the same about them. They just need to surround their young quarterback with a lot of talent, and that's what they did. They just need to give him a few wide receivers now.
Mm-hmm. I'm surprised with the Josh Jacobs as a necessary one because they still had Aaron Jones when they signed him.
Well, and then they cut Aaron Jones. That was the thing. That was what bumped that up.
Well, Aaron Jones has struggled with injuries for the last couple of years, and he would be a more expensive price than Josh Jacobs would be, I believe. And so they also move on in terms of age. Aaron Jones is a little bit older than Josh Jacobs, if I'm not wrong. Yeah. And so I think that's an interesting move. Josh Jacobs also brings a little bit more of the receiving game that they were missing.
Yeah, Aaron Jones, I believe, is 30, and Josh Jacobs is 28.
Yeah. And Josh Jacobs can run through a defense a lot better.
Yeah, especially what we saw with the Raiders. There wasn't a lot of offensive line to help him, so it was a key thing that they needed.
Do you guys?
Well, the Raiders just kind of stunk, so. Generally. Yeah.
Before I move on to the least necessary, do you guys have any comments on Derrick Henry and Russell Wilson?
I mean Derrick Henry to the Ravens.
Jeez.
I haven't gotten to talk free agency with you guys very much. Derrick Henry to the Ravens is going to feed families in Baltimore.
Oh my god. Dude. That duo, I think I said this, but Lamar Jackson has the most rushing yards as a quarterback since 2018. The most rushing yards for a running back. Can you guess who that is?
Derrick Henry.
It's Derrick Henry.
Yeah, that team's gonna look like the Navy in more ways than one.
They're just
I
gonna
mean,
walk
hold
down
on.
the field like God.
was a
Imagine
triple
having to
option joke.
guard. Imagine having to guard Zay Flowers, Derrick Henry, and Lamar all at the same time.
Oh my God.
That's gonna
And
be
you're still gonna get a receiver in the first round, probably.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then
They'll go
Russ.
grab a Malik Neighbors or a Brian Thompson Jr. Yeah.
Did you guys know that Justin Fields and Russell Wilson are the only two quarterbacks to combine for 100 interceptions and 100 sacks in the last 2 seasons? And now they're both on
100 interceptions plus sacks. I did see that
Yeah.
stat. Yeah, it's pretty fascinating.
All right. Yeah. Russell Wilson is a great pickup, and I know Noah wants to talk about that one a little later, so I'm going to save Noah on that one. All right. So now, Trey, I want to hear about your top 5 most unnecessary free agent moves.
Oh boy, this is gonna be fun. So number 5, they should go into necessary, even because it should be necessary. But Chase Young hasn't been signed yet.
Hasn't been signed yet. Yeah.
Hasn't been signed yet. Which is weird.
There's still a good crop of free agents out there.
Number 4, I have Tony Pollard. Number 3, I have Saquon.
Whoa. Hold on. Tony Pollard. Yeah.
My bad.
There we go. Clear
Number
out.
3 is Saquon. Number 2 is Mac Jones. And number 1 is whatever the Commanders are doing. I have. Excuse you. Okay, so how about we start with my
Well,
take
that was for
on
the Commanders, not for you.
Oh, yeah, that was for the Commanders.
Okay. So don't get me wrong. I love Zach Ertz. I love Austin Eckler. I love Bobby Wagner. And this team would be great if this were in 2020.
Or like 2017.
Yeah.
I actually like what the Commanders are doing. They're getting some veteran talents that'll know how to lead a locker room, and they have a lot of picks this year. They have a
Put all
lot
the
of
bets on
picks.
one team and
They
just see what they can do.
They need trenches. They need a D line and they need an offensive line.
Well, they had a defensive line, and then they traded everybody away. They got rid of
Exactly, but
Montez
now they
Sweat
need
and
another
Chase
one.
Young.
Yeah. And
They'll
so
get one though. This is a very deep draft class. You guys are forgetting.
Oh yeah, and that's what I'll show in our next episode about this draft class because there are a lot of good players.
And so then my number 2 is Mac Jones to the Drags. And I just want you guys to picture something. You're the Jags coach at the first practice of the offseason. You have 4 options to start at quarterback. Trevor Lawrence, Mac Jones, a plumber, or an Uber Eats driver. But wait, you realize that you forgot to take your meds this morning and are having double vision.
Wow, that's cold.
I would.
Trevor Lawrence is good. I don't understand this take actually. Trevor Lawrence is good. Hang on.
Got to get another one. There's got to be another one in there.
I would quit because my quarterback options are from the 2021 draft class. Oh my God.
That was supposed to be the greatest draft class of all time.
Exactly.
Everybody except for Trevor Lawrence is on a new team. It's nuts.
And then number 3, I'd Saquon. Why? You really don't. You need coaching. I think you should spend your money on Belichick, but I think they're only doing it because they want to troll the Giants. I think that's the only reason they're doing it.
Or because Saquon Barkley is a really good running back that they can afford.
Okay, fine.
And their
That's fair.
run game will be the same with him.
We've never seen Saquon Barkley with a good offensive line. Can you imagine how well he's going to do in Philadelphia?
It's going to be the same amount of rushing yards as DeAndre Swift. Just take away Jason.
He might go for 2,000. He might go for 2,000.
And then Tony Pollard. I mean, are we really building our entire organization around Tony Pollard here? Are we really?
I mean,
I don't actually know where Tony Pollard went.
Who's the Titans?
You down?
Oh,
Yeah, the
they're not
Titans
building
downgraded from
around Tony
Henry.
Pollard. They're not building around Tony Pollard.
No, they're building around.
Building around their Tim Tebow knockoff. Guys, he takes his coffee with mayonnaise. Are we really gonna do this?
So gross.
Jesus Christ.
I love SEC quarterbacks coming to the NFL and just stinking. I think it's the funniest thing. Without fail almost. The only examples of success so far in the last 10 years are Jalen Hurts and Joe Burrow, who weren't even in the SEC originally.
That's so funny.
All right, Trey, you got any more fire for us there?
I remember what my number 5 was supposed to be.
Yeah.
So I made the list and I realized I didn't have 5, even though I did have 5. The notes just didn't save. So my number 5 was actually Sam Darnold. Because, okay, let's be honest for a second here. Let's be honest. Do you just want Justin Jefferson to leave or something?
Well, I think they're making this signing with the intention of him being a good backup quarterback.
Yeah. I mean, they have 2 first-round picks. They're probably going to go quarterback in the first round, and the other one they might trade it away.
Okay,
Right.
So like wide receiver.
So let's say they don't draft the quarterback. Justin Jefferson is leaving, right?
I mean, not necessarily.
Sam Darnold
I
was
mean,
the
he signed
first
to a
pick.
contract, so he really, I mean, he could choose to sit out, I guess. But
We were looking at this a little while ago. You're the first pick for a reason. You still have something. So I think Sam Darnold still has a little bit left in the tank, and he had to be the first pick for a reason, right? Like,
I mean, I'm just shocked by how many teams are willing to give up. Like, they just give up on their young quarterbacks so early. I don't understand. They give them crappy offensive coordinators, crappy offensive lines, and mediocre / crappy weapons.
Yeah.
well,
How
and when
much
I was
of
a
Desmond?
when I was a, yeah, when I was a kid, that was the notion is like if you drafted a quarterback, you were going to put him on a terrible
You got
team,
to build around them.
line, and they would flounder. And so most of the time they sat on the bench for 2 or 3 years behind a starter.
How
that
much
played?
of Desmond Ritter is Arthur Smith?
Mhm.
We
Yeah.
already saw them move on from him. How
Yeah,
much of Sam Howell's struggle was him being sacked the most out of any quarterback in the league since like David Carr?
Mhm.
And right now we're
And
moving
s-
into our next segment of the quarterback carousel.
Right. And Justin Fields, he had okay weapons, but he didn't have much of an offensive line, and he had an offensive coordinator that didn't know how to scheme his offense towards Justin Fields' strengths. Zach Wilson had absolutely no help in New York. Absolutely none.
He still had an arm, and he was still hitting guys deep. And same with
They
just
threw Sam Darnold to the Wolves, and then they threw Zach Wilson to the Wolves right after him and
Mhm.
expected like something to change.
yeah.
it's the same situation with somebody like David Carr, Steve Young. They're drafted to a terrible team, and then they're given no offensive line. The thing about Steve Young is that he went to a better team within the 49ers.
Yeah.
And then you see guys like Daniel Jones who have mediocre weapons, but then they let Saquon Barkley walk. After Daniel Jones already had a subpar season, are we really expecting him to get better? No, we're not. And then Kenny Pickett has the best career game after Matt Canada is fired, and then he gets benched for the rest of the season, and then you trade him away.
Yeah.
But
You
this is
trade him
The
to
guy has 13 touchdowns in 24 career games for a reason, and it's not because Kenny Pickett is a bad quarterback. He might not be the solution in Pittsburgh, but he's also not the problem.
I
And the
think
same thing goes for Justin Fields.
Yeah. The reason we're seeing all these quarterbacks getting traded away to be backups, it's because as we saw last year, by week 17, I believe it was, over half the quarterbacks were backups. We saw Joe Flacco coming off the couch to play. We saw all these random guys that never would have started a game. Tommy DeVito, like that's why we're seeing all these guys becoming
I think-
backups because backup has become an important position at quarterback.
I think the problem with all these quarterbacks getting drafted with no weapons is because of Patrick Mahomes. Because he only has Travis Kelce to throw to. He doesn't have a big name, does he? No.
Well, no,
Well,
I mean
he just got
he
he
when
just
he
got a
came up
receiver
though, he
deal.
did. He had lots of weapons when he came up.
But
Yeah.
now, not really.
Right.
Well, that's because they can't
Patrick
afford it.
Exactly.
He's also he's the greatest quarterback of the generation.
Yeah.
And
The
Yeah.
other thing
everyone expects
the other thing
everyone
is
to compete.
people are already giving up on Bryce Young too, though. We
Yeah.
saw who his receivers were. He was throwing to plumbers.
These guys certainly have given up on Bryce Young. I
yeah.
think if you go back, the Seahawks kind of broke the template with young quarterbacks when they plugged in Russell Wilson. But what they did is they had a young quarterback who didn't cost them much money, and they had an outstanding defense and run game around him. And so they didn't have to spend a lot of money on quarterback, and they could spend money on free agents. And so people thought, ooh, that's the way to go. Get a young quarterback, plug him in right away. But if you don't surround them with the talent, or if you don't already have a talented defense or run game or receivers to go with it, then the young guy's going to flounder, as we saw with just about every guy in the 2021 draft now.
Yeah.
Steve Young.
And even going back to like 2019, Drew Lock also never really got a fair shot in Denver. He was hurt for the first half of his first year, and then he came in and he won them games at the end of games. Like he was the reason that they were winning those games. And then they just move on from him for Russell Wilson. But like Sam Darnold, he wasn't great in New York or Carolina, but he was a serviceable backup in San Francisco when he needed to be. And now he's going to get paid to be a backup in Minnesota, likely, which is the right model. We're giving guys these second chances at being backups, like Geno Smith. And I think
Baker
that Baker
Mayfield.
Mayfield is another one. He's another one of those examples of franchises building around their talented quarterbacks. And I think that the Eagles were patient with Hurts, and I think that really goes overlooked by Howie Roseman, because that's been a Super Bowl winning roster for 6 or 7 years, even before he got there. And I think that's something that NFL teams need to start paying more attention to, is finding late round quarterbacks that they can build around.
Yeah.
Like Brock Purdy.
Uh-huh.
Brock Purdy is the only quarterback from that draft class that's still on the team that drafted him. And that was 2 years ago.
That has him absolutely surrounded.
Yeah.
That was 2 years ago.
Yep.
And we see in Brock Purdy's situation, he has the defense and he has the weapons that, as my dad just said, that's what they need when they go into the league to dominate. And we kind of saw that. That's why Brady came to Tampa, was because we had a great defense that we were going to build, and we had a bunch of weapons.
Just missing the signal caller.
Mm-hmm.
So speaking of teams that are in flux with their quarterbacks, Noah is wearing his Justin Fields jersey here, and he has some feelings about what the Chicago Bears are doing. So go ahead, Noah.
Okay. I thought the Bears were doing amazing. I said it. They had all the money in the world. They had all the cards. And then they traded away Justin Fields. The Steelers just robbed them and in plain daylight, a 6th round pick for Justin Fields to be a backup next year. And if he ends up being the starter, it'll be a 4th round pick. Still, Justin Fields is a great quarterback. And that quote that I just did, robbed in plain daylight, was from Robert Griffin III. This is a terrible trade for the Bears. Yes, they have the chance. They have the weapons now after this Keenan Allen trade, and they're about to add Caleb Williams to it. But I don't think this is the right move. I think they should have stuck with Justin Fields and traded away that first pick and moved back, instead of getting Keenan Allen, to get Marvin Harrison Jr. Because Marvin Harrison Jr., in my opinion, as I watched, is the best receiver in the league when he comes in. Because we saw in college, in the first quarter of a game, he had 2 catches for 130 yards and 2 touchdowns.
I mean, I think you guys are forgetting that Caleb Williams is a generational talent. I mean, we say it every 4 or 5 years that this is the greatest quarterback talent we've ever seen in the draft. But like this guy, he's the real deal. He didn't throw at the combine, and he's still going to go number 1. Do you understand how good of a quarterback you have to be to not throw, to not do your medical evaluation, and still go number 1?
Quite a flex by his dad. Quite a flex.
Yeah, for real.
To disagree with you, Tyler, I don't think that he should be number 1. I think it should be Marvin Harrison, because I think that Caleb Williams, he has just the wide range of what he does. He can be Aaron Rodgers and he can be Johnny Manziel.
He's not. No, it's not comparable. Johnny Manziel didn't watch film. Never.
In the way that
he literally didn't watch. He didn't prepare for games.
You go and look
Caleb
at
Williams
iPad
isn't cocky. He's just good. Caleb Williams is just good. Like, he's just that guy. He knows it.
Okay.
He's known it since he was in high school.
Look, if draft time comes, if the season comes around and Caleb Williams isn't that good, don't be coming crying back to me, and I will not.
You can bookmark it. Caleb Williams is going to win Rookie of the Year.
All right, so
you can bookmark it.
Let's take the 2 combinations. You can have Fields and Marvin Harrison, allegedly, possibly, or you can have Caleb Williams and Keenan Allen. Who do you want?
Like I said. Well, they could have had Keenan Allen and Marvin Harrison and Justin Fields. But like I said,
Yeah.
Justin Fields wasn't the problem, but he's also not the solution. He's one of those quarterback prospects that I think we didn't realize needed a little bit more time to develop. I mean, he's showing issues with his decision making. He has a beautiful arm, and he has the running ability of a running back and a receiver, frankly. But he just needed that time to develop that he did not get. He was thrown to the Wolves as a rookie. He was thrown to the Wolves again in his second year. And I think that working behind Russell Wilson, a veteran who plays similar to him, is going to be very helpful. But on the flip side of that, I think the Bears could have gotten better compensation for Justin Fields.
Ooh,
Like that was shocking to me.
100%.
That was shocking.
Yeah.
They got a worse compensation for that than the Steelers got for Kenny Pickett.
Mm-hmm.
How is that?
Daylight.
How? I don't understand that.
Like, and it's next year's pick. That's
They
even
got the same compensation for Justin Fields that the Jaguars got for Mac Jones.
Oh my gosh. This is
I mean,
it's worse because it's a next year pick. Like, this is crazy. Like, they actually robbed the Bears.
are we really just gonna compare like Mac Jones to Justin Fields?
No.
They're both not good, but Mac Jones is another.
They're not good for different reasons.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Justin
Mac Jones is like the Grayson Allen of NFL quarterbacks, or the Christian Leitner, frankly. He wants to be Baker Mayfield, but he's not. He's a Baker Mayfield knockoff.
I
remember-
I definitely think the talent is there with Fields, and I really hope that by getting with Wilson and the Steelers that he can show off the talent that he actually has. He's
Right.
a really talented quarterback. I think he's a better thrower and a better decision maker than he showed because of what he had around him. He's an unbelievable athlete. So I'm quite hopeful for what Fields can do, and having Russell Wilson as a tutor is nice. But I thought it was pretty telling too that within minutes of the trade being announced, the Steelers are like, and by the way, Russell Wilson is still the starter.
I mean, yeah, I felt like that would be pretty obvious. I also think we need to consider how much Justin Fields improved year over year after he got DJ Moore,
He's
who is a
crushed.
mid-level wide receiver one, frankly.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Imagine what he could have done with Keenan Allen and Marvin
Yeah.
Harrison.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
But also
Either
consider
of those guys, like,
consider that they could still trade up and get Marvin Harrison
oh my gosh,
regardless.
that would be crazy.
Because they have like the 9th pick, don't they?
Yeah. No, they have the
They
first.
have the first pick from Carolina, and they have like the 9th for themselves.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
Yeah. They could
So
still.
let's not say
trade
that
up.
this is out of the question.
This is crazy.
Or they could get
That's
Joe
what
Alt.
I do.
They
And
could
then
go
getting-
offensive line there.
So then getting Caleb Williams and Marvin Harrison and Keenan Allen is a win to me.
Yeah, that's the win. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
I think that's what they're gonna do. I think that would be a great move.
that Tyler, you told me that
Somebody's going to fall to 9
you were telling
because
me, Tyler,
the other 2 picks are going to be quarterbacks.
Mhm.
We've got like, hold on, let's actually count this out for a second here. Caleb Williams. Let's just say Drake may go second because that's what he was projected.
Probably will.
Marvin Harrison Jr. goes third to the Arizona
Mm.
Cardinals.
No, I don't think so. I think the Cardinals are going to go quarterback as well. I think they're going to go after. I think the Patriots might trade up with the Cardinals and get.
The Patriots have
let's
the
say-
second pick.
Let's say that Marvin Harrison doesn't go third. Then we've got Bo Nix, we've got Michael Penix, we've got.
So
I
okay,
mean,
now
this is a
we're,
loaded
now we're
question.
segueing into draft talk, and I think we've got a couple weeks to do that. But
Yeah.
it obviously presents a lot of options, a lot of interesting things. So let's move on with our topics now. Noah, ring the bell. We're going to move to our next topic, which is March Madness, and it is truly madness. The number one seeds in the conference tournaments have taken a beating, and so. One of the number one seeds, of course, is one that we held near and dear to our heart. My alma mater, the South Florida Bulls, who have been on a shocking run in the second half of the season, particularly the 16-2 record in the AAC. And unfortunately, the wheels fell off yesterday against UAB.
Gotta love mid-major basketball.
Yeah.
So, my problem with USF was that they melted under the hot lights. They faced adversity for the first time in a long time. They picked up a lot of technical fouls. Some of their key players got into foul trouble. Their best player fouled out with about 8 or 9 minutes to go, and it just went downhill from there. That being said, no one expected USF to be in that position. They were expected to place 9th in the regular season AAC. They ended up as the number 1 seed. I just feel like it's a shame that because of all these other upsets in conference tournaments and low-level seeds getting automatic bids, that it looks like USF is going to be on the outside looking in this evening when the brackets are posted.
I feel like a lot of Florida sports, you just don't expect that team to be there. You really don't. Like they weren't supposed to go to the finals last year.
Welcome to Florida. It's just how it
Rays
is.
weren't supposed to
We
go to
do
the World
unexpected
Series
things.
in 2022.
The Bucks weren't supposed to do anything. They were supposed to have 2 wins. And they
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
year,
Cam
this
Jordan,
year,
looking
yeah.
at you, bro. 3-14, really?
he really
3
has
and
a thing
14.
for the Bucks.
So
Sent you guys
Florida
home.
the state of Florida is good at sneaking up on people. So with USF out, we've got to find some things to get excited about. So we've all got some players that we want to watch in the tournament. And so if we can go around the group here, who is your player that you're hoping will get into the tournament? Because some of them are kind of on the bubble themselves. That you're looking most forward to watching. Trey, you want to start us off?
Sure. So it's kind of sad because his team lost, and but ESPN says that they get in. Their bracketology does, I guess. And I'm gonna go with Robbie Avila. I mean, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Larry Nerd. I just really want to watch him. I haven't really watched a game with him, but I've seen his highlights. They're
That dude makes me feel like I could play college basketball.
just the Nikola Jokic build loaf of bread. He leads his team in points per game with 17.5 and blocks per game with 0.7 and 23 blocks in the season.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
looks like Georges Niang, which is kind of a niche reference, but
He also leads his team in points this season with 559.
Yep.
I'm looking at this player from Florida. He's 6'10". He plays forward. He's a senior. He'll be entering the draft this next year. His name is Tyrese Samuel. He's pretty good. He has had a lot of good games, and they dominated in their tournament. Sadly, today they lost in the SEC tournament, a championship. But he's averaging 14 points, 7.6 rebounds, 1.8 assists, and he's 56.6 from field goal. So he's having a really good year. And he's looking at a tournament chase right here. Again, they
Auburn's
are
become quite
also,
the little basketball school, huh?
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's 2 SEC titles in the last 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty interesting.
Yeah. Auburn wins that SEC title. It's a really big deal for them.
I mean, when you're in a conference with a bunch of blue bloods like Tennessee and Vanderbilt,
Yeah.
it's tough going out there.
Mm-hmm.
Who you got, Tyler?
I got the freshman guard from Kentucky, Rob Dillingham. He's been putting up about 15 points a game. He's looked absolutely electric. He probably will win Freshman of the Year, future NBA star, hopefully. So that Kentucky team is also pretty exciting. They're currently slated as a 4 seed.
Mm.
All right. So I just became acquainted the other night with Keisei Tominaga.
Oh,
What a name.
From
All-timer.
Nebraska. Japanese guard playing in basketball. I know we've seen some Chinese guys. We've also seen Jeremy Lin. But Keisei Tominaga, he hit a couple step back threes in that game that were just clutch. And so, and he seems to be a guy that gets the crowd and his teammates fired up. So Nebraska looks to be probably about an 8 seed in the tournament. And so I'll definitely be rooting for them when the tournament comes around.
Yeah. They're looking dangerous, like really dangerous to me. And they're a sneaky pick because nobody really thinks about Nebraska as a big college basketball team.
I do.
Well,
Love Nebraska
nobody-
basketball. I love Big
nobody
Ten
really
basketball.
thinks about Nebraska that often. Let's be honest.
Yeah,
The entire state of Nebraska.
Whoa, easy on Nebraska, guys.
I mean, hold on. They're
Corn.
just in that.
That's a
tier.
football blue blood, too.
Okay, so look, no, I'm talking about just like the state in general. Like they're in that same tier as like Oklahoma and Delaware and Arkansas.
that's where your corn comes from, Trey. You gotta respect them.
Respect the corn.
Yeah.
All right.
in my bread, I guess.
All right, changing focuses one more time. Last night was an exciting night for Tyler down in Fort Myers. The FGCU women, the number 1 seed in the ASUN tournament, and they defended the crown. Was it how many consecutive years, Tyler?
They have won the ASUN title 8 straight years, and I believe it is 10 of the last 14.
That's amazing. Wings up.
Carl Smesko, put him in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Head coach down here. He is amongst the names. He's up there with the LSU head coach and the UConn head coach in terms of all-time win percentage and win total. I believe he has a win percentage of almost 800 over his career at FGCU. They've been absolutely dominant in conference play. They've won 21 straight now. And so they get their automatic qualifier bid for the March Madness tournament for the 7th straight year. and they are looking at Syracuse right now. So I'll be traveling to Bloomington, Indiana, potentially, depending on how the decision goes tonight. They're currently a 12 seed, although last year they were slated for 11 and got slid to 12. So we could potentially be a 13, but it would still be Bloomington.
Yeah.
Wow.
Winning 80% of your games for a career is insane.
Yeah. Would you guys like a little NCAA tournament preview for women's basketball?
Heck
Hit me.
yeah, bring it.
yeah.
All right. So I know the transitive property really doesn't work in college athletics, but just hear me out. All right.
Okay.
I'm going to sound like a UCF fan for a minute claiming that they won a national title. But they're currently slated for Syracuse, who lost to UNC by 14. At the time, UNC was an 11 seed, I believe, and FGCU beat them at the buzzer 65-64. So I'm not saying they're going to win, but hear me out. The second round would likely be Indiana, who beat both Stetson and Lipscomb by a little more than FGCU did. And FGCU is actually well known for taking their foot off the gas, especially in conference play, because let's face it, it's the ASUN. So this means that the Sweet 16 is not entirely out of the question. All right. It would be a rematch against USC, who they played a little closer than the final score indicates earlier this season. It was their first loss of the year, very early on, and FGCU is not nearly as healthy as they were then. And they've hit a bit of a cold streak in terms of three-point shooting. They were 13 of 44 last night.
Yeah.
But again, hear me out. The Elite Eight would then be NC State, who also lost to UNC, and they beat UK by 29, and we led by 25 before the reserves went in the fourth quarter against the University of Kentucky. Hear me out. The Final Four would almost certainly be against
right now, saying "Hear me out." Over here.
Yeah, that was kind of the joke. The Final Four would be against South Carolina, who only beat the University of North Carolina by 7. Notice that this victory over the University of North Carolina is really doing some heavy lifting.
It's doing the heavy lifting, yes.
It really is. And then, we get blown up by Iowa again because we faced them in November and we lost by about 29.
Uh-huh.
So, you never know. It's March. It's a little mad.
It is. It is. Yeah. Well, that transitive property is interesting, and that win over UNC was that UNC game was impressive. The win over Kentucky was impressive for FGCU. Of course, the ASUN doesn't have a lot to offer as far as competition for FGCU as they ran the table there, but it's exciting. We're excited for you, Tyler, to get the opportunity to travel with the team and support them. And
I'm going to be the first person in my entire family tree to step foot in Indiana, probably for a good reason.
You're going to be
Find out exactly how boring the Midwest is.
You're going to be the farthest, the person to go farthest west in this entire family.
Anybody in Bloomington, shout us out. Let us know what's fun to do in town. I'd rather not be holed up in the hotel room between games.
I've got one more thing before we sign off. Yale beat Brown to go to
the Yale Bulldogs, baby.
Yeah, Yale punched their ticket to March Madness on a buzzer beater.
Oh, the smart guys had a good game.
I love Ivy Madness, dude. It's probably my favorite conference to watch.
They're doing the math in their head.
Nerds running around doing parabolic functions to figure out how to shoot.
I mean, they did beat Brown, and it went down to a buzzer beater, so they're not getting much more than 13.
Brown's not even a good Ivy League school.
Exactly, they're 14 and 18.
Go to Harvard.
Yeah, Princeton's the gold standard for basketball. Yeah. All right. So March Madness will be kicking off this week. The brackets get released tonight after our podcast will already be published, but there will be lots of basketball to watch starting Tuesday night with the play-in games. And Tyler, when do you fly out to hopefully Indiana?
It'll be either Wednesday or Thursday, depending on what day we play. And I might be there until Tuesday. So it'll be a couple of days probably.
Fantastic. All right. Well, we will be looking forward to watching that, and also no one's going to start sharpening his pencils with his draft analysis. We'll check in with some of that on the next episode. For the guys here in the Bay Area and Tyler in Fort Myers, we sign off with a big, loud bang! Cool. All right.